The most concerning thing that fans have for Persona 5 The Phantom X is that it's a gacha game. But what exactly is a gacha game? Why are gamers so against this genre, and why did SEGA ATLUS decide to make P5X a gacha game? Basically, gachas are similar to when you are negotiating with a shadow and ask them to lend their power. So you spend your time and resources befriending the shadow, only for them to sucker punch you in the gut. Congratulations, you're now a bona fide gacha game veteran. Gachas are very much like that. It is distilled, monetized, and wrapped in pretty colors. Gacha's core mechanic is by having the players farm for pool currency, which are earned agonizingly slowly or quickly by your credit card. And the fun of it doesn't stop there, because you're only getting a random shot to win the big one. Because of this, gachas are perceived as predatory, haunting the player's fear of missing out and taking advantage of their gambling tendencies. So did SEGA ATLUS create Persona 5X with the sole purpose of draining our wallets? No, not really. Are gacha games psychologically tuned slot machines? Absolutely. But they are also pre-playgrounds of artistry, strategy, and communal madness where patience can beat wallets. And this is actually why SEGA ATLUS decided on Persona 5 The Phantom X as a gacha game. Yes, it is another way for them to earn revenue, but it is also to continue telling the stories of the Persona universe and to keep the fans engaged with the series itself. Now that it is releasing worldwide, what are the other things you should be concerned about? Well, here's everything you need to know before playing Persona 5 The Phantom X. But before that though, if you're excited for the global release of P5X, then like this video and join Otaku Define for more Persona content. Since Persona 5X is a gacha game, here's everything you need to know about its summoning system. Their pool currency is called Meta Shards. It's the equivalent of Starreal Stellar Jades, and you will need around 150 shards to buy one Fate, the item used in summoning 4 characters. What makes P5X's gacha unique is that it has a 2-banner system. Fated Bond is one of them that has a 50-50 chance of getting the premium 5-star character like Yukari, or a standard 5-star from their pool like Anne or Morgana. This banner has a base rate of 0.8% with the soft PT starting at 70, and the guarantee is set at 80 pulls, meaning you are given a 5-star character after your 80th pull. Sounds like a basic gacha so far, but their exclusive bond is what really sets P5X's gacha system apart. This banner system has a lower base rate of 0.2%, with soft PT kicking in at also 70 pulls, and a higher PT of 110. But it is 100% guaranteed that you will get the featured limited character. So this is your screw the RNG option, especially if you keep losing your pools to certain characters. P5X also has a standard banner called the Kydal Draft. It costs 150 gems for a single pool, but its ticket for summoning is called Future Fates, and it can be easily earned in-game like leveling up characters, tasks, and even in chests. It has a similar gacha rates to Fated Bond and also gives you a character selector after the 300 pool. P5X's weapon banner, on the other hand, is much cheaper, as it only costs 100 gems per one pool. The weapon supply also has a base rate of 0.8% and a PT of 70. However, it is also 50-50 like the character banner, but you can choose 2 non-limited weapons to lose onto. The PT for all of these banners carry over in their respective types. So after hearing all of this gacha rates for P5X, is it still worth playing? I would say absolutely yes, considering that you don't actually need to pull any of these limited characters to experience or enjoy the story. P5X's content is available as soon as a character releases in every patch. The only reason for you to even pull per characters is if you love them and want to add them to your collection. Heck, you can even borrow other players' characters in certain modes. So again, you don't need to pull or invest in the gacha if what you're only after is the story. And speaking of the content, what even is the premise of Persona 5 The Phantom X? Well, this game is set in an alternate universe to the main line of Persona 5. It follows the story of Wander who seemingly lost his desire, the whole theme of this game. He then awakens to his persona and fights alongside the game's mascot, Lufel, with a goal to steal back the stolen desires from the Phantoms. The story in P5X follows a similar formula from Persona 5. You meet a new character who's struggling because of a corrupt adult in their life. Just like before, that adult has a palace, a psychological representation of their twisted desire. We then infiltrate the palace, secure a route to the treasure, steal it, and restore the stolen desires. This forces the villain to reflect and change their ways. So yeah, it's very much like a copied homework from P5. And yes, you'll find the story enjoyable, especially if you love the spin-off games like Strikers. Additionally, since this game is set in an alternative universe, you really don't have to play the main game before playing P5X. But of course, it's much better if you did. Now, people are confused whether or not P5X is part of the main timeline, and I would say no. I consider P5X as a side game that doesn't really affect the canon story events of the whole Persona series, especially considering that P5X is seemingly open with collaborating with other mainline games that took place in earlier timelines, such as Persona 3. So in other words, P5X is a spin-off gacha game. And as most gachas, their stories are not finished at launch. It's similar to watching a TV series or reading a serialized manga, where you will have to wait for the next part. AAA gachas on average take about 40 days per patch. Persona 5X, on the other hand, has a patch cycle of 3 weeks, which is insanely fast for a game this big. However, I'm unsure if the global will also follow this patch cycle, considering that we are trying to catch up to the Korean and Chinese servers. But ATLUS did state that P5X Global won't have a breakneck speed, and will let the players take their time instead, which is great. I'm not really fond of rushing through things, especially since P5X has tons of content. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but the palaces and mementos in P5X are far larger than the main game. Mementos isn't a random dungeon like in Persona 5. Instead, it is composed of handcrafted paths that you can freely explore, and they feature challenging boss battles with puzzle-like mechanics, where figuring out how to counter their unique traits is the key to victory. Palaces in P5X remain accessible even after defeating the boss. Revisiting them offers new puzzles, unique boss battles, and additional collectibles. Both Mementos and Palaces in P5X feature a completion rate system that rewards through exploration, and completing certain percentage can earn you valuable items like a 5-star weapon for wonder. Then on the other side of Persona's gameplay, the social simulator mirrors the mainline games with interesting twists. For example, the social stats in P5X now go up to 20 ranks instead of the usual 5. Confidants also follow this expanded system, with their bonds maxing out at rank 20. Interestingly, unlike the mainline Persona games, these confidants aren't tied to any major arcana, giving the game more flexibility in character development. P5X also has a calendar system, but you don't actually go through dates. So instead, you pass yesterday, today, and tomorrow. The calendar progresses as you consume action points, which allows you to do social activities like working part-time, studying, spending time with your social links, and many more. You are given 5 action points per day and can be replenished using energy drinks, which the game gives out. Combat-wise is very much different in P5X, while it does follow some familiar formulas from the main Persona games, such as the One More system, Baton Pass, and All-Out Attack. P5X added new things that made it refreshing, such as their ultimate moves called the Highlight, which is unfortunately shared with the whole party. PT characters like Makoto, however, have a separate ultimate energy system aptly called Teurgy. Additionally, unlike the main games where it's fine to have all the characters be damage dealers, P5X places much more emphasis on thoughtful team composition. Given that P5X has a class system, and they are as follows. The Rebel, the role that deals absurd damage on a single target. Dominate, who are the AoE damage dealers. Superiors, whose role is to support and buff the party. Submission, who exists to inflict debuffs and status conditions. Defenders are the tanks, then Rescues are the healers. Interestingly, they have Elucidate, which covers the navigator roles in Persona games. They provide buffs, shields, and many other support skills. And since this is a gacha game, it is also possible to get a duplicate of them in the gacha mechanic. They call this their awareness system. Basically, it's like the Eidolons of Star Rail, and there are a total of 6 awareness, and the weapon equivalent of this is called Reform. However, unlike Star Rail, where some characters only feel truly powerful after pulling multiple copies, P5 characters are well-rounded and functional right out of the gate, so you don't really need to frustrate yourself by getting another copy of certain characters. Now for gacha veterans, do you need to reroll in this game? Where you'll have to delete your account if you don't get Joker in your first 10 pulls. While it's not required, I actually find it wasteful not to, since getting the limited character in the first 10 pulls is always a good strategy in saving your gems. With that said, know that Persona 5X is not a pay-to-win game, as you'll get all of the necessary resources, pools, and characters by simply playing, and enjoying the game. Now that P5X has officially opened pre-registration in Southeast Asia, we're just waiting on updates for the other regions that are still geo-blocked. And I know that some fans were dismayed to learn that there is no English dub as of now, but who knows, maybe after they see the demand for it, we will have that in the future. Especially since I'm quite sad that Yuri wasn't given the chance to reprise his role as Yosuke in P4R. But hey, let's stay positive for now, like what are the best and worst things about Persona 5X? If you're curious about that, then check this video out. Join Otaku Define for more Persona content. This is Math, and stay awesome my dudes.